Caitlin Clark is out injured right now, and it appears that we know, well, she's out injured with a groin injury, and it appears there is footage of how it happened.
Another game, another obvious cheap shot, and the referees blew their whistles once more.
WNBA referees has been having issues. WNBA referees simply playing against Caitlin Clark and the Fever. This is another year and another case of WNBA referees not making the right calls when it comes to Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark was clearly struck by a Seattle Storm player in front of the official. There was no call, no worry, and no repercussions. That same play probably caused the groin injury that is currently keeping her out of commission. If you believe that the WNBA refs are dishonest, please leave a comment below and protect CC.
One of the worst missed calls I think I've ever seen in basketball.
And then when the refs don't call the bear hug,
obviously being fouled, the refs don't call it.
No protection, no whistle, lack of accountability, and let's not act as though this is a novel concept. Rather, it has become a recurrent one.
Caitlin Clark is the needle. Caitlin is box office.
Caitlin Clark is the star. Everything else is wrapped around her, and everything else is revolving around her. She's Rookie of the Year in the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark is the star player of the WNBA.
The most popular woman ever in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark.
This isn't about a single infraction. Rather, it's about a pattern and how complicity breeds quiet. The WNBA's blind eye is becoming a serious problem.
Situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark has suffered yet another hard foul, and the referees failed to make a call.
The WNBA is physical, and she just needs to get over.
What happened in Seattle wasn't an isolated event. Rather, it was the most recent development in a lengthy and annoying pattern in which Caitlin Clark has been beaten up with no compensation.
We have another situation where WNBA referees fail to make the right calls against Caitlin Clark and the Fever.
Let's go back in time and see that Clark has made more contact than a crash test dummy in every game this season.
Why is that? New year, Caitlin Clark still getting assaulted though, bruh. Why is we back?
And the authorities don't appear to notice. For some reason.
For whatever reason, these referees made it their business to simply not make the call.
She has seen it all, from body slams and arm grabs to defenders swinging their elbows like they're in a wrestling ring. One particularly popular video from the Storm game shows Clark driving hard to the basket and getting struck across the torso, with the referee standing there watching and nothing happens.
Referee's literally right there. Like, bro, you're right.
In the meantime, Sophie Cunningham received a foul for planting her feet with their palms up and inhaling too forcefully, and we witnessed other ticky-tack infractions. The sound of a bump whistle.
A foul on Sophie Cunningham for doing absolutely nothing. Dantas just her hands in the air. Another foul. Touch foul, touch foul, touch.
The issue isn't limited to a single official. It's ingrained in the system. Head coach Stephanie White has expressed her annoyance, claiming that the team and particularly Caitlin aren't receiving a fair shake. Fans have taken action to expose it, with social media exploding with frame-by-frame videos of Clark being beaten while the referees stand still and she receives no calls while her opponents receive far less.
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
In all of this, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has been utterly silent, with no news conference, post, or responsibility from the WNBA.
Kathy has said nothing. She just refused to address this referee problem.
To be honest, the league is more than happy to ride the Caitlin Clark wave. Sellout games, attendance records, and social media are all over the place, but when she needs support, they disappear. Sophie Cunningham and others have stepped up because they want her face in advertisements, not her back protected on the floor. If the league doesn't stand up for Caitlin, her teammates will. This goes far beyond basketball. It's about the league sending a message that says, thanks for the ratings, but don't expect any protection.
No doubt, the Indiana Fever are dominating the
Let us now discuss the Seattle game that rekindled this controversy. The Fever won 94-86, although the scoreboard only provides half the picture from the outset. No official had the courage to call a play when Clark was shoved, chased off the ball, held on screens, and grabbed on drives. Early in the game, she gets pummeled as she tries to lay up, and the defender makes full body contact before the referee looks on and lets it go.
Caitlin Clark has suffered yet another hard foul, and the referees failed to make a call.
Not only is this double standard annoying, but it's also risky because it tells other players that it's okay to target Clark, and Seattle took full advantage of it. This is why Caitlin Clark is unique. Even though she was punished and ignored and faced the possibility of getting hurt, she didn't vanish. Even though the box score wasn't exactly 6 points and 8 turnovers, she led.
Caitlin Clark is definitely still in a shooting slump. She attempted 6 three-pointers, made none of them. She went 3 for 13 all night.
This is the first time in her career Caitlin Clark recorded more turnovers than points, bro. She had more turnovers than points for the first time in her whole basketball.
However, statistics don't provide a complete picture. She continued to find her teammates, stretch the floor, and maintain her composure under constant pressure as Clark continued to control the offense.
Impact on the court was still extremely high. She did also have 9 assists, 3 steals, and 2 rebounds.
That poise contributed to the victory. Not to mention Aaliyah Boston, who exploded for a career-high 31 points and 8 rebounds. Players like Erica Wheeler, a former colleague, even checked in on Clark after she took a big hit, something the refs obviously haven't shown her.
Aaliyah Boston put on a masterclass, hitting a career-high 31 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and she shot 72%.
Kelsey Mitchell scored a scorching 26 points. Lexi Hull recorded her first career double-double, but Caitlin Clark is behind the scenes, coordinating everything. She didn't falsify the stat sheet, but she pulled the strings.
If it wasn't for Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, this could have been the third straight.
Critics and inexperienced referees fail to recognize that Clark's greatness lies not only in her ability to highlight real passes or make logo threes, but also in her poise, toughness, and ability to motivate a team even when the odds were stacked against her. The league ignored her, the referees turned their backs, and she stood tall, ran the show, and won.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy.
Stop the nonsense. Not only is Caitlin Clark a part of the WNBA boom, but she is also the reason why casual fans are tuning in. Prior to her arrival, 300,000 viewers thought that night was respectable, but now we're seeing primetime ratings that rival men's playoff games. The numbers show that the Indiana Fever games are shattering records. The third most watched regular season game in league history, with a peak viewership of 2.2 million and an average of 1.7 million, saw a 14% increase in ESPN's WNBA ratings. 76% increase in ABC viewership.
1.7 million views. It peaked at 2.2 million views. WNBA on ESPN regular season averaged 33% more than last year. And it was up 2025 NBA coverage across ESPN of 14% from last year. A victory, bro. ESPN made a bag on this.
And if you've been watching, almost every high-rated show this season seems to have one clear theme. Caitlin Clark is playing. This isn't a coincidence. It's the Caitlin Clark phenomenon in full force, and even major sports networks like ESPN are publicly admitting it. She's no longer just a player, she's the headline. The complete plot.
Now, this ain't because they played the Las Vegas Aces. No, this is because Caitlin Clark was expected to ball out. Caitlin and them still doing big viewership numbers, still doing big-time votes when it comes to all-star games, still making their presence.
This isn't just hype, it's basic economics. When the Fever hits the road, ticket prices soar, merchandise disappears from shelves, and television ratings soar, but the league still ignores the situation when it matters most. They're quick to share her highlight reels, profit from her jersey sales, and plaster her face all over sponsorships and promotions, but when she's being mauled on the floor, elbowed, and shoved in plain sight, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert makes no statement or takes responsibility. Nothing.
Score, I'm watching because it's the FOMO that everyone is rushed to watch.
Now consider this. Would the NFL watch as Patrick Mahomes is crushed following the play with no penalty thrown? The NBA and NFL understand that protecting their stars means safeguarding their company. Will they allow this to happen to Steph Curry? In this league, Caitlin Clark is more than simply a player, she is the brand. While players like Sophie Cunningham are receiving praise for defending her, let's not pretend that everyone is on board. Many players have been anything but supportive, with some being jealous, dismissive, or outright aggressive, taking cheap shots because they know the referees will look the other way. It seems like they're perfectly happy to extract every last bit of value from her without providing the fundamental decency of fair treatment, respect, safety, or even impartial officiating. Sophie Cunningham became famous just by being Caitlin Clark's sidekick.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball. She's pulling in crazy viewership numbers.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
And she's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura.
The hypocrisy is here. The WNBA as a whole is profiting from the Caitlin Clark wave, but she is riding it alone. They want to enjoy her fame but won't take responsibility for protecting her from the blows she is taking. Instead, they expect her to carry the weight, endure the fouls, boost her brand, fill arenas, and lead her team to victory. Somehow, she manages to do that even in games where her stat line isn't dazzling 6-point shots, not getting fouled repeatedly without any calls. She delivers, she lifts her teammates, she keeps the fever going, and she keeps the league moving forward.
It's the third most watched WNBA regular season game ever on ESPN.
However, the question is, how long can she continue doing this? How long can a 23-year-old sophomore continue to support a whole professional league without even the bare minimum of regular officiating? It's not only a poor business model, it's also unfair and wrong. The WNBA's golden ticket, Caitlin Clark, has already given them more than they could have ever imagined. The league's referees and executives need to return the favor, and they may begin by blowing a whistle.
2.2 million views, man. Peaked at, average 1.7 million viewership. Ain't no team in the W still doing this, bro. Nobody's doing the numbers to fever.
And the events in Indiana, it's not just special, it's transformative. Despite having a rough shooting night against Seattle, 6 points, 8 turnovers, and a lid on the rim, Clark bent the game to her will, forcing double teams and creating space for her teammates to flourish. She finished the game with 9 assists, 3 steals, and her off-ball movement caused havoc for Seattle's defense, which led to Aaliyah Boston exploding for 31 points and dominating the paint like a future MVP. Kelsey Mitchell came alive again, scoring 26 points, grabbing 4 rebounds, and controlling the tempo.
Kelsey Pistol Mitchell was cooking. Kelsey Pistol Mitchell was cooking with fish grease. 8 of 14, 26 points. She shot 5 of 7 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line.
Kelsey Mitchell does. She brings it up the court, stops on a dime, shoots his 3-point jump.
And let's not forget Lexi Hull, who recorded her first career double-double. This isn't a coincidence, rather, it's an example of Clark's leadership in action. She didn't have to be the team's top scorer, she was the conductor, setting the rhythm, reading the defense like an experienced veteran, and controlling the game and the fever. They looked like a brand new squad, confident, and convinced that's what Clark gave them. Even on a bad night, even in a slump, she still ignited something special. If this is what Caitlin Clark can do when her shots aren't falling, just think of what will happen when her off night turns into one of Indiana's most cohesive victories of the season. That is why the silent league leaders and critics still fail to recognize that Caitlin Clark's greatness is measured not only by viral passes or logo threes but also by her impact, vision, and resilience, even when she is singled out, abused, And disregarded by the officials she leads, she continues to evolve. We should cease dancing around the fact that the game is still winning. Caitlin Clark is the target of abuse, and the referees are doing nothing but watching. Game after game, she eats contact, takes elbows and shoves, and still propels the WNBA into national prominence. She is more than just a player, she is a movement, selling out arenas, igniting viewership charts, and elevating women's basketball to a cultural force. However, if the WNBA wants to maintain this momentum, they must do more than just profit from Caitlin Clark. They must defend her, stand up for her, and demonstrate to her the same dedication that she has shown them. If you believe that the WNBA referees are dishonest, please leave a comment below, protect CC, like, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything.